Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Kramer? Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Morado? Mr. Pop?
Here. I make a motion we excuse Mr. Kramer and Mr. Moraro.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any questions on the agenda? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Move on to approval of minutes of the regular meeting of August 7th, 2023.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of regular meeting of August 7th, 2023.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Move on to the approval of the manifest 2023-16. Scott, did you have any questions?
No, I hadn't.
No questions.
And I have none either. Do I have a motion on the manifest?
I make a motion to approve manifest 2023-16 in the amount of $780,232.95.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. We have none. Public comment, agenda items. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on an agenda item only shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. We have none. We'll move on to proclamations. Let's see here. National Rail Safety Week proclamation. Rail Safety Week is to be held across the U.S. from September 18th to September 24th, 2023. Therefore, I, Candy Brew, Mayor of the City of Norway, do hereby attest my full support proclaiming September 18th to the 24th, 2023 National Rail Safety Week, and I encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of rail safety education. Then we move on to, and you don't want to vote on that?
For a proclamation, typically I haven't gone on.
Okay.
If Grant wants to do that, but
I don't know if it's necessarily, I think we've done that in the past, we've
Yeah,
voted
that's
to approve it and publish it out. I don't think it's necessary per se, but it'd be a nice gesture for the council to do as a group.
Okay.
Council's part of it.
Do I have a motion on that proclamation?
I move in favor of to support the National Rail Safety Week proclamation.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Move on to Public Power Week proclamation. Proclamation recognizing Public Power Week, October 1st through the 7th. A week-long celebration of the City of Norway, Department of Power, all lights year-round service to the City of Norway and surrounding areas. I, the Mayor, recognize this proclamation that our community joined hands with more than 2,000 other public power systems in the United States in this celebration of Public Power Week, which puts our residents, business, and community before profits. Do I have a motion on that proclamation?
I move to approve the Public Power Week 2023 proclamation.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
We'll move on to discussion, action items. Item number 1, red line property purchase request. I think I'll let Dan go ahead with this.
Yep. So, Ben Peterson from Redline is here in the audience. Council kind of wishes to address him or take questions. He is available to speak with you. We've been discussing the potential sale of this property to Mr. Peterson, who is the owner of Redline, since, I think we started this last summer. And where we went to was rezoning it to commercial because it was surrounded by commercial and that seemed to make the most sense for the use of that property. That went through the process with the Planning Commission and Council and then was changed to B3. He is back here again. Well, he came last couple meetings ago. My recommendation then was to post it publicly for at least 30 days, so it was out there. It was posted for those 30 days. We did not receive any interest in that parcel during that time. We posted it in the manner that we usually have, which is just listed on our for sale list and it's on our website. Now that those 30 days has passed, Mr. Peterson is here tonight to again request the council consider his offer for that parcel that abuts to his current property. His current offer is
You really shouldn't say it, but I
Yeah.
guess you really shouldn't say it. In case we don't sell it. I mean,
It's already been in the
I
paper.
mean, it's,
huh?
It was in the paper, so.
Oh,
it's, I mean, it's, when we sell.
Go
it's
ahead.
Public.
okay.
For
Piece of
his
property.
offer, what he had offered?
Yeah, and you guys have to discuss the offers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's,
Okay, all right.
so we did have an appraisal done, which was in your previous packets, was appraised at a value of $12,000. You know, this is a property that I don't know if it has a great value to it. It does, the topography of it is not, does not make it all that useful in a new building because of the setback requirements of the building was to be, but there would definitely need a variance. Mr. Peterson, my understanding, is going to use it as safety storage for his boats and things that he stores and works on. It would be an expanding of a successful business in town. I do believe we should start this process, if council so chooses to, at the appraised value, which is what our policy, which is included, states, is that the purchasing of property policy states that the council should seek the appraised value, and then if it's less than the appraised value, it needs to demonstrate the economic value for it. I think that is a conversation that we can have with Mr. Peters about what he wants to do and how that helps his property grow, and then to see if that is sufficient enough for council to consider an offer that is less than the appraised value. If council wishes to proceed after this, again, I would then have myself and our city attorney begin to develop the purchase agreement documents with Mr. Peterson and bring that back to council for final purchase approval.
It's a little far off of what the appraised value is.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I guess, you know, these things come up every couple of years, I guess, and council does have a list of properties that's been set by number and have been for sale for some time. Just brushing off and dusting off the city of Norway real estate policy, it appears as though we're down to paragraph F, which is at the point Mr. Peterson has provided a proposal. Council has gone through and Mr. Stoll a number of different steps to get it to the point of a proposed sale point and a purchase agreement, if you will. Looking through it, looking through the purchase policy or the real estate sales policy when it is a citizen-initiated purchase request. The policy references that council may, basically direct the city attorney and the city manager to engage at this point in negotiations to conclude the transaction, and then a buy-sell agreement will be turned around and proposed and provided to city council. So what we could do, because it's a little different than we had in the past sometimes, depends on each city. We don't do a lot of sales, but as I mentioned, I think Councilman Moraro made a comment or asked how quickly we could have this up and running. Certainly, we have our developed sales agreements that we've utilized in the past. Mr. Stoltman and I can discuss and maybe get into further negotiations with Mr. Peterson to try to bring us to a conclusion. Usually what we've done is, as Mr. Stoltman, we use the appraised value as our number. And then there's the traditional costs that are associated with it as well, that the buyer of the real estate takes care of as well. Usually the survey, which I think has already been done, appraisal, which has already been done. There's some nominal, I think, filing fees and maybe a small fee for preparation of the deed work. But if the council is, I guess as Mr. Stoltman referenced, it seems as though we're at the point where we don't necessarily, the council can of course say, hey, this is our number, period, and this is where it's going to be. Or we can, the other option would be to direct us to engage in further negotiations, to listen to Mr. Peterson about, as Dan referenced, why it should be for anything less than market value, and see if there's a number that we can agree to. But listening to council in the past and hearing council's comments, we have appraised value. That certainly seems to be the starting point for council.
So we can just make a recommendation to direct you and Dan to proceed with.
To prepare a purchase agreement.
Yeah, and
Well, you
that's,
don't really want to say that.
well, I mean, it would.
That's if we would agreed upon the price.
Price.
I think we want to see if we can negotiate a little bit
Right.
closer to that.
Yeah, and just, I'm trying to kind of listen to, take the temperature of council,
Right, I don't wanna
but
do
it
that.
sounds like,
Yeah.
he's put on an offer out there, council has an appraised value. Rather than, because I don't think it's appropriate, just out of respect to Mr. Peterson at this point, to engage in type of like a negotiation here in public.
Yeah,
At the same time.
Right.
not in this
There,
format.
there may be a number that he deems as his best and final. Maybe it's that number. But I think that we'd be able to report back to council that we've had good faith discussions with the proposed purchaser and bring that number back, perhaps as a best and final.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Or if it's best and final, see him standing, he may indicate best and final. Avoid that whole process.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, it pretty much is.
You can come up to.
Pretty much is where I think I'm gonna be at, best and final as far as that parcel, just because of the use. I did find some other property that I'm also gonna try to purchase down in Vulcan. It's just close to the shop, and, right now we use it for drop-offs and such, and being as, without major excavation, as Mr. Stallman mentioned, and a retaining wall to hold the parking lot above in place. It's not advantageous, to put a building in, or, it would take quite a bit. Basically, my plan for the property would be to scrape it and get it down a little lower so that my forklift doesn't get stuck going up there, and potentially fence it so that I have more security there, because I've had a few instances with people dropping stuff off after hours and then things go missing out of their boats. So if I have it fenced and can give them a code to get into the fence and solve some issues. If you guys had any questions, I'd entertain.
Anybody have any other questions? Scott, people, any other questions?
No.
No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, as an overall format, 'cause, maybe we could be in the situation of setting a little precedent here. If I would much rather feel confident with Mr. Carlson, Mr. Stoltman, doing some negotiation and bringing us with a best and final, at the next meeting. It might not affect things in this situation.
Right.
But it might affect things in different situations. I like that procedure,
Yeah.
if you will. I don't think Mr. Peterson or anyone else interested in purchasing property from the city, should come and try to have that, negotiation in this forum. But I have full faith and confidence in our city manager and city attorney that they would be negotiating in good faith to get that price settled upon, and then present it to us. That's my vote, or that's my opinion.
Go ahead with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
So what I would anticipate that, I don't think it'll take very long, if I can chat with you, and after the meeting perhaps.
yeah,
It would be to bring this to a conclusion then, what council would have, I didn't have, our standard City of Norway purchase, sale contract, filled out with, the pertinent relevant information. The council can either then approve it or deny it at the next council meeting.
yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Want to make that motion?
Is that a motion, Mr. Carlson?
I think in the past, council has done, just for consistency's sake, has did a motion to direct council attorney and manager
Yeah.
to engage for negotiations, present
Okay.
proposed sale agreement to
All right.
council.
I will make a motion to empower city manager and city attorney, Stoltman and Carlson, to engage in good faith sale negotiations with Mr. Peterson for the property listed, to be presented to the board or to the council at the next meeting.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Move on to Resolution 2023-15, Dickinson County Solid Waste Management Amendment.
So you guys discussed this a couple meetings ago. This is a amendment to the Dickinson County Solid Waste Plan. At that time, council had some questions and concerns and directed me to kind of get some answers from the committee. I was working on that, and then as it turns out so far that they only needed 7 of the 10 municipalities within the county to agree to this amendment for it to pass. They do have that at this point. Norway Township was a denial, and I believe the remaining of them all were approving. So at this point, they don't need our yes vote for it to pass. However, they do need some official action. So what we have for you tonight is the resolution we had previously. It is essentially, it's the same city resolution, 2023-15, and it's up to you to either approve our resolution to approve their amendment or approve our resolution to deny their amendment. Based on kind of where that conversation was going last time, I do have your motion here to approve our city resolution to deny that amendment if you so chose.
I still feel the same way. I had a lot of questions when this came up the first time. Don't really feel like I got a lot of answers or any answers to the questions. I just feel like we should have been more part of this if they wanted to vote, but I guess if they don't even need our vote, why make us part of it? But they didn't know how that was gonna work out, but I still feel the same way. There's some changes to the amendment that was saying, I believe that we would take 100% of that bill if we had to. Wasn't that the change on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I don't agree with that. I never seen any test results or anything, so that's the way I feel about it. I myself,
The thing I see is there's 7 municipalities that have approved it, and 1 that has denied it. Who was the one that denied it?
Township.
Norway.
Norway Township? And what about Brighton Township?
They approved.
The Quinnipiac did approve it?
I sit on the Brighton Township board, so, yeah, the solid waste management gentleman came to our meeting, as did Eric, can't think of his last name, but the guy who runs the thing, and he had a lot more explanation than the solid waste management guy did, and was basically saying that nothing is really changing, according to him.
but it is changing.
Well, what he was saying is basically the material was, what it comes down to is Grady didn't have enough sand to mix with the sludge to go directly into the landfill. And so what his explanation was was this amendment only allows that the sludge and the liquid version was kept separately in a different area of the property long enough for them to get enough sand to mix with it before it went into the wastewater, before it went into the landfill, is the way he described it to us. And that's why, it was a hard vote for myself as well, so I wouldn't blame you to deny it, but we mulled it over as well, quite lengthily.
Well, I still feel like, if we are important enough,
Well, yeah.
they would've came and talked to us.
Come talk to us since it's coming through us, and not, I mean, if it goes through, Felch is Dickinson County, so that, why are they voting for it when it's not?
Right.
This
You know,
type of
and
thing
this
really
is
upsets me.
very, we're right next to it. And, me and Scott were very involved in this the first time. And we met with people, and I just don't understand why they didn't want us involved.
I would hate to think it was an intentional,
Right.
avoidance of the council. I think it kind of maybe has that feeling, and that's upsetting to me if it was an intentional,
My
you know,
opinion, when we
we're
were
gonna
in
get the 7.
discussions with them,
Yeah,
the way they held their conversations, it was intentional.
yeah. And for whatever reason,
That's just
I like communication, and I like people being open about communication, even if it's gonna be a difficult conversation,
Right.
but conversations need to be had. I'm disappointed in
Yeah.
that this group did not come, because obviously council has a lot of questions about it.
And when he
And,
was on the phone, the
yeah.
questions were there, and he still couldn't make the.
yeah, well, and just being in person would have been a lot better way to do it.
Right.
And we were scheduling with Tony and some others, and there was constant conflicts with other meetings. And we were working on bringing them to this meeting. Based on how that conversation went last time, we kind of just decided
Yeah.
there was no more.
Yeah, there's not a point to it at this point. However,
So we were making efforts with it
Yeah.
to do this, but
yeah, rewinding everything, I wish it'd be, I hope it'll be done differently next time.
And I know that, you're saying he's saying there's nothing different. Well, it was different because we looked at the old resolution, right? Me and you did, and it didn't say, if I remember right, it didn't say 100%.
It was just overflow.
Yeah,
Is
it
what
was-
it was supposed to be the first time,
Yeah.
and now they're saying 100% of overflow.
Because I believe at that time they were taking it elsewhere. too.
Yeah.
That was the thing that concerned me. So it was Nick Gear, that's his name, that runs that, not Eric. But the thing that concerned me was he was saying that a lot of that product that he wanted to be able to bring in there without the proper amount of sand to mix with it used to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I can't remember where that was, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be able to just bring it there, hold it long enough, in the, basically in the pit or whatever.
Was it Wausau?
What's that?
Was it the Wausau area that they
I
brought
believe
that
it
to?
was, yeah.
I think they don't take any of it anymore.
No.
Yeah, and apparently it's the same Niagara stuff that they spread on the fields is the way he described it. But he wanted to be able to hold it in the pits long enough to get enough sand with gradient stuff to mix it, and then it would just go into the landfill like it does at present. So, the whole board at Brighton Township was not sure what the best program was there.
Do I have a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion to deny resolution 2023-15.
Wait,
Hold
no.
on.
so you want to approve our resolution to deny
Yeah,
their.
the bottom line there is what I think you want, that, where it says a motion to deny. I think that's the one that you want to read.
To approve the city Norway resolution 2013-15, a resolution to deny amendment 2023-1 of the Dickinson County Solid Waste Management Program. Amendment, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Do I got a second? I'll second.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer, Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
We'll move on to ordinance 455, sign code amendment.
This is another one that's been worked on, started working on the summer last year. Council took a look at this several months ago, and it's back again. So where this happened is it started with a sign that was located in our B2 zoning district that was damaged by weather and needed to be replaced. And upon receiving that zoning compliance permit to replace that sign, we discovered that the current zoning code for the allowable size was much smaller than what that current sign was. That began a conversation at Planning Commission reviewing quite a few of the signs, business signs in our B2 and B3 zoning districts. And kind of what we found, especially on that US 2 corridor, is essentially if something happened where all those signs were destroyed, most of them likely would not be able to be replaced as is due to the 50 square foot maximum size of signs in the B2 and B3. So that kind of was the premise for this discussion of, are the current signs that are out there, do we kind of look at those and say, oh, they're way too big, the bank, Family Dollar, all those type of signs, if they were wrecked tomorrow, they would not be able to be replaced. We discussed changing it from 50 to 100 square feet across the board in those B3 and B2 zones. If you recall, many months ago, I built a 100 square foot sign with a 50 square foot duct tape center to kind of show you that what that size looked like, and just show you that 100 square feet in certain areas in those zones would look quite large. So we went back to Planning Commission and we came up with an alternative to which Planning Commission has recommended to Council for approval, and those unofficial minutes are in your packet. But instead of having a clear-cut 50, 100 maximum, we looked at scaling it based on the linear foot of the property of that business. So if you look, for example, so like Northern Interstate Bank, their current sign is 98 square feet. So again, if they're needed to replace their sign, it would not meet our maximum. So in this scenario, you take the minimum of 50 square feet, or the maximum of 50 square feet of a sign, and then if for every 0.5 square feet of linear feet over 100, they get a 0.5 square foot increase. So up to a maximum of 150 square foot sign. All right, so they're at 98 square feet sign. They have 509 linear feet of frontage. So they would be eligible for 150 square feet because they have 409 extra square feet, and 0.5 times that is beyond 150, so their max would be 150.
And they're at 98 right now.
Right, so they would be able to rebuild that sign at the equivalent of where they're at, or up to a maximum of 150. If you look at a sign, let's see, like so Swedish Passport, their current sign is 115 square feet, and theirs did blow over and they could not be replaced. They have 172 square feet of linear footage of their property line. So you would take the 50 as their base, and they get 0.5 square feet per linear feet over 100. So in their example, they would have a eligible sign size of 86 square feet. So in your memo, you can see that. I know it sounds a little
What was the size of the one that got knocked down? Just as
It was
curiosity.
115.
Okay.
So
that would be a reduction in the size.
it'll be a reduction, but it'll be a compromise.
Yeah, but it also sets us up for the future
Yeah.
of not having to do this. I mean, I like the formula. I think it was derived very mathematically and fairly. It makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
it kind of eliminates the concern of, is 100 square feet too big for a certain area? So it's
Yeah.
based on kind of that premise. So theirs, they would get the 50 to start, and they have 36,
Yep.
or the 0.5 times 36. So it's a good way to kind of make the size fit.
So like
The parcel. yeah.
Family Dollar, what is their sign right now? 96? Or is that,
Correct.
okay, so they could go bigger actually.
Because a lot of the maximum sign size in these zones were 100, and then 3-4 or so years ago, it was reduced to 50. And now when you look at all these signs that are kind of in that area, there are many that would be well over that 50. So you can see the dilemma. And if you
But
look
I mean,
down
if
that
they have to go up
corridor-
and put a light in it or fix a number or something, they can still do that.
Yes, I mean, at the time, if it got completely demolished.
Demolished.
A car ran into, Northern Interstate big sign, and they wanted to repair it. Technically, that is an existing non-conforming sign size, and it would have to conform. And you can see how you can look at that sign, and it doesn't appear to be
Right.
overly large, especially in that zone where, you get to that 40, 55 mile an hour. It doesn't seem inappropriate in size.
Right.
Where others, if it's 30 miles an hour and a much smaller property, you can see that size maybe seems large for that area. So, yeah, this was developed as a way to kind of compromise of what is the appropriate size. And we do have a limit, 150 square feet is the limit, so if you have, again, that example, Northern Interstate Bay with 509 feet, they can't just have a 700 square foot sign.
Gotcha.
It does have a limit. So, so that is the mathematical way that the Planning Commission has recommended to council for approval. We did have a public hearing at Planning Commission. We discussed it here a couple times, there a couple times. So we are
Yeah,
at the point.
and this was worked on for a long time.
Yeah, is this something that we wholly created, or is this kind of patterned after some other right size or like size?
So it was patterned
communities?
after, we worked, former manager Anderson worked with me on this, and he started looking at other ones too. We pulled this from another community that used a similar mathematical equation.
Thank you.
Thank you and the Planning Commission for working on this. If there's no other questions, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 455, an amendment to section 1005 of the Norway zoning code as presented.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Mayor, council comments. Scott, did you have anything tonight?
I have nothing for tonight.
I just want to remind our citizens and community, back to school. The festivities are starting already. That means a lot of kids, a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents, a lot of family members operating in and around the school. Please be patient, be careful, watch for your buses with their flashing red lights, all that kind of stuff. It's about to get real busy, the 300 block of Section Street. So please drive accordingly.
And all of our sections, did you see, are they all painted now?
Crosswalks, yes,
All
appear to be all painted.
Good.
And very excited about the partnership between the school and the council for the school resource officer. Very excited for that.
I was gonna just say the same thing Mr. Mangini said about the school. Watch for the kids, the buses, especially the first few weeks. People are a little combobulated and, but be careful, especially up and around the school at the times that they're getting dropped off and picked up. I know I do this every week, it seems like I mention it, but I want to mention it one more time about the music in the park. I want to make sure that from the council, we get thank yous out to the ones that work on that. And then I also would like a thank you out to Debbie. I think she did a great job. First year with the open air market, it seemed to bring a lot of people downtown. And I felt, because I was there every week, I think, except for 1 week, I don't think my personal opinion, the traffic wasn't a problem. People just went around that block if they wanted to get down to the other end. But it brought a lot of people in, and I was surprised myself.
I'd like to grow it to the point where it does become a problem.
Right.
That's a good problem to have, if we have that many people attending.
Yeah,
So-
it was really great. And I also got a lot of feedback from citizens here, how much they enjoyed it, and even from people that were coming out of town, because we had some regulars just from out of town coming, and that's what we want to do, bring people in. So wonderful job, and make sure we get out a thank you to all who participated or volunteered for this.
There is something I'd like to say. Thank you to the lady who does the flowers.
It's
The
Debbie.
amount of hours she does on those, I mean, it's nonstop throughout the day. You see her on that cart,
And
watering the flowers and picking the weeds.
She's the
It's
same one
amazing.
that did the open air market.
Yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
And I gotta say the same as Scott, amazing. And she's like a fixture here now, and telling the kids all know her, Flower, Debbie. She not only gets out there, and she really did a fantastic job doing the flowers. She stops and mingles, she talks with people, very positive for our community. And it's really nice. We could use a lot more Debbies if we had them, but really appreciate all the volunteers that volunteer for everything in our community, because without them, we'd have nothing going on. That's all I have.
I'll just say, Debbie Hood, who, she has been a great part of the DDA this year and last summer. She does all those flowers. She does a lot of watering. You see her weekends. You see her all the time. She took on the open air market, and was there almost every night. We get let her go on vacation.
1 week, I
times.
think, yeah.
Yeah. And I did speak with her recently. She's working on kind of a end of year report. She's going to give the DDA and the council to kind of discuss how it went. And of course, we have ideas going forward. All I can say is, we got to keep going at it. It's, for the very first year, I think it did very well. I think we had good participants come in, and we expect that to continue to happen. So I'll pass that along to her, and those others will get some thank yous out there. And again, I think Debbie's going to come in and kind of give you guys an overview. One last thing, just a reminder to council and everyone else. Starting in September, our council meetings are going to the Wednesday part of the season, so we will be first and third Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. And that's all.
Grant,
Nothing, thank you, Madam Mayor.
girls, you have anything? No. If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Mr. Kramer's not here.
Mr. Menahee?
Yes. Thank you, Trish.
Meeting adjourned.